Put your hands on top of your head.
Well, I didn't.
Now! Here comes the jam. Getting down with the truth. The only way he knows how to. Girls all up with his name. We call him the chief. You're damn right. He's gonna get that sucker. Yo, we track down the truth. You know it. What a track down the truth. You know it. What do they call him? We call him the chief. You're damn right we do.
I'll bet your mother had a loud bark.
Good morning. This is Morning Coffee with the Chief. I'm your host, Patrick Jordan, here on Pop Culture Minefield. You can catch us on Pop Culture on YouTube's Pop Culture Minefield. You also catch us on Rumble. You can go to the Pop Culture Minefield Facebook page and catch us there, and you can find us on the Twitter feed as well. Now, I also have a X handle at LSD Jordan. I do have another show. It's I just relaunched a new show, a podcast. It's called Briefing with the Chief. So to find it, it's at Briefing with the Chief on YouTube, but also I put that on my Twitter feed, or my X feed at LSD Jordan. Now, I do one long show a week, and I do a handful of short shows now. I started a short format, and, a lot of good stuff. I did some shows on ICE Saves Lives. So I looked at the ICE enforcement throughout the country, and I looked at Trump's policies, and I showed what I believe is a correlation with his policies in the drop of fentanyl deaths in the country by 12,000 people in 2025, and then a drop in homicides in our major cities where ICE is operating, including Los Angeles, which is at its historic lows, the lowest murder rate ratio since 1959. Even the LA Times gave him credit, begrudgingly. They said, Trump's policies, the fallout of Trump's policies has likely helped reduce homicide. You know how they say that, the fallout, instead of saying Trump's calculated effort to reduce homicides in the city of Los Angeles, it's the fallout. So, but even they gave him begrudging credit for reducing the homicide rates in Los Angeles. So check those out. ICE Saves Lives Part 1, Part 2, and then I go over Don Lemon's indictment and how foolish he was, and now he's going to use the shield of freedom of the press to protect him. So I'm having fun with that show. It looks like I'm going to launch it on Rumble as well, and I'm going to probably get it on soon on iHeartRadio and Spreaker, so you can listen to the show as well. So I'm building that show as we go along. We're having a lot of fun doing that. I kept my producer Amanda, so that's kind of a lot of fun. And now the other thing I wanted to talk about is the Los Angeles Mission. Now, the Los Angeles Mission operates in downtown LA. Now, we have a lot of corruption going on with our nonprofits. The Democrats have used nonprofits. They funded money to them, and they pushed money to them. And if you look at those nonprofits, a lot of them are relatively new, and they really only do advocacy. They train people how to advocate. They train people how to protest. But the Los Angeles Mission actually does hands-on treatment and support for the homeless down in Skid Row. They've been doing it for over 80 years. I think they're almost 90 years now that they've been operating in downtown LA near Skid Row, right in the middle of Skid Row. I went down there for Thanksgiving and for Christmas to help serve, and I got a meeting coming up here pretty soon for their board. But check them out, www.losangelesmission.org, and make a donation today. Every little bit helps. Remember, they make the sign of the cross there, so they don't get any government money, because they have a religious theme throughout their curriculum. So check them out, help them out, and do your good deed for the day. And, we're going to get right into the movie. We're going to review the movie Play Misty for Me. And that brings up an interesting subject that all my guests are going to be weighing in on, and that is the issue of stalking. But let me bring our guests on. We'll go by rank order, who retired at the highest rank, and that's going to be retired Lieutenant John Baylis. It's been on the show before.
I'm pretty ranked, too.
Yeah, you are pretty ranked. So welcome to the show again, John.
Morning.
And his partner in crime, a retired Sergeant Scott Orr. Both of these guys are refugees from California. I am hanging tough here in California. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Pat, hey John, glad to be here.
All right, so we are going to do Play Misty for Me today. Let me introduce the show, and then we'll get into a discussion of stocking before we do the movie here. But Play Misty for Me was released in 1971, and it's an American neo-noir psychological thriller, and it's directed and starring Clint Eastwood. Now, this is his first movie that he actually did. Let's see what slasher
That he directed.
Let's see. I think that the movie is kind of predicted the whole real life celebrity stalking because a decade, famous Billy John Lennon. Yeah, John Lennon. I mean, we're going to talk about somebody that we know that actually inspired changes in the law, who was killed by a stalker in just a minute. But it does talk. It stars, hey, the beautiful Donna Mills. John, do you remember we did the show, The Incident? Her first starring role, Donna Mills, when she was like 18, 19. But she plays the love interest for Clint Eastwood in this movie, and the crazy woman Jessica Walters, and she does a pretty good crazy woman.
She did.
She did, and she won a Golden Globe for it. So he got recognized for it. But basically, it's he's a kind of a minor celebrity in Carmel by the sea, which is where actually Clint lives, and he's by this lady. Now, I got to tell my Clint Eastwood story. So I was attending the Naval Postgraduate School up there, and it's near Carmel. And so some of the gals in the class, one was a captain in the Coast Guard, and they wanted to go to Clint's restaurant, in the hopes of seeing Clint. Sure enough, we go to the restaurant, we're having dinner, and Clint he's standing at the bar having crackers and soup, right, and water. He's not drinking, but he owes the place. So of course we wouldn't bother him. I didn't bother him. He's trying to eat, but they did. So I saw Clint Eastwood at his bar, Carmel, and so I suspect he probably lived up there when this movie was going on. That's why he directed it and starred in it right there. He didn't have that long a drive, I guess. But beautiful scenery. I loved Carmel. It's beautiful. John, you been up there?
It's cool. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It really is. He became mayor there too. In the 70s and 80s. And, for years, they wanted clean streets, so you couldn't sell ice cream. They didn't want people dropping ice cream on the street. He changed all that when he became mayor, and extra businesses came in and everything else. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was mayor there. That's a beautiful, beautiful area. The Pacific Coast Highway, just looking out on, oh, my God, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, it is gorgeous. And, of course, they showed that on the movies, and then all the nutcases come to California. And it just takes greater regulation and high taxes to get them to leave again. That's they come for the weather and the scenery, and they leave because of the taxes and regulation. I mean, we're doing the best we can to chase as many people out of California as possible, right?
No, Newsom's doing that.
I know. I just saw a poll today. He actually is coming in behind. Can you imagine a poll that shows Kamala Harris ahead of you by double digits?
That's pretty bad.
A poll that came out today. Now he was ahead of her. Now she's jumped ahead of him, and it was a Democratic poll. And so, I mean, I don't know if it was leaning or not, but I mean, I would be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed. I'd have to
losing to Kamala Harris.
Yeah, she's brain dead. But on Facebook,
it's like Dumb and Dumber.
Wonderful. Oh my God.
It's like choosing to be Dumb and Dumber.
Exactly.
Oh, that's California. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about stalking. We said Slasher Fred just brought up some stuff about John Lennon, a famous stalking case. I think that happened in New York. Which one did you? Oh, and Jodie Foster. I mean, I think it was Chapman was infatuated with Jodie Foster, right? And then which led him to go on a kill. He was the one that shot Reagan, though, right? Wasn't it Chapman? No, Chapman shot Lennon, right? So anyway, stalking's been going on for a while. When you watch the movie, you realize that the 1980 classic Fatal Attraction is the protagonist. Yes, Fatal Attraction as well. And the Stephen King movie Misery, yes. I think Katie Porter would play a good lead in the movie Misery now. You know what I mean? Instead of Kathy Bates. Katie Porter. I think she'd be great. She's perfect. She's, you guys know what I'm talking about. She's running for governor out here, right?
Yeah,
and,
she's a whack
running for
job.
governor.
She's running for governor,
man.
yeah, and she's
even more
Ev and her staff, and I just said, man, she'd be great for the movie Misery, a remake, for Kathy Bates, But yeah, you're right. Thanks for the comment, Slasher. But I got a picture of a gal that I think we'll all recognize. Let's throw the picture up there, and it's Rebecca Schaeffer. Now, she was murdered in, let's see here, I'll bring it right up. In 1989, she was starring in the show My Sister Sam on TV, a CBS comedy, and she was stalked and murdered. This was actually just outside of the city of West Hollywood, in the city of Los Angeles, by a guy named Robert John Bardo. And it was after this murder. I mean, I think how old she was. She was only 21 years old, and very young, beautiful gal at the beginning of her career, and she was killed by the stalker. But after this this happened, they put the Schaeffer law, Rebecca Schaeffer's law in place, right? They enhanced the stalking laws. They made it a felony, and because of this murder. Do you remember this murder, John?
Yeah, he had gone to, back then you can go to the DMV and just put in a name and pay $1 and you get their address and everything. And that stopped real quickly. But that's how he found her. And he went up to her door and I think he stabbed her, if I recollect.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And this, and I it's sad that it took that long for the stalking laws to toughen and for us to close loopholes that allowed people to get public information on where people lived, right? And but we did. California did react appropriately and toughened some laws and made it harder. I was working as a night detective, and some guy comes into the lobby, and of course the desk doesn't know what to do with him, so they asked the detective to come in. I was by myself, and I go to talk to the guy. I heard about the death of Rebecca Schaeffer. Yeah, it was very tragic. Anyways, he's got this legal paperwork, and he says he needs to serve to Meg Ryan. And I go, okay. And I said, well, let me have your driver's license. I take it. It's a bunch of nonsense paperwork. And but I ran him, and he had an arrest for weapons possession and assault up in Washington State, and a commitment. He'd been committed up there as well, and on his record and stuff. And I go, oh, this guy's kind of a nut. And he's in Hollywood looking for Meg Ryan, right? And I didn't have anything I could hold him on. He didn't quite fit the danger to self, danger to other things, right? As you guys know what that means. And so I talked to my boss the next day. I said, hey, I ran an address through our computers, and I got an address for Meg Ryan. Can I send her a letter? He says, yeah, go ahead. So I do that. And sure enough, I get a call from Gavin DeBeckers. Remember this? The private detectives of the stars. And I get a call from her husband at the time, and Quaid, Dennis Quaid, right? And we talked for a little bit. They weren't anywhere near California. I just said, well, I just wanted you guys to know, because Rebecca Schaeffer had not been that long ago. It's just a few years before. And I was able to give him a booking photo and some other stuff with permission of my boss. But yeah, you have to take it serious. I took that serious because I thought, well, if this nutcase has got the gumption to come all the way to Hollywood and come into a sheriff's station, ask for information, somebody's dumb enough to give him information, right? And so that's what I did to help Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid. But yeah, what do you think, Scott? Toughening up the stalking laws was long overdue, right? This was a good thing, even though it was out of a tragedy, right?
Yeah, don't most good things like this come out of some kind of tragedy?
Yes.
It's like we do all this stuff to like protect the rights of everybody until something like this happens, and then it's like, oh, we need to do something. Yeah. It's like, well, it's been suggested long ago that we do something. Well, just like domestic violence, 9 times out of 10, unless you really whooped your significant other's ass, it was a misdemeanor.
Yep.
And then after OJ, everything became a felony. So
yeah.
I mean,
it's so cyclical. I mean, if you actually, I did a show on deportation laws, right? So what can you actually deport for, right? And, and so there's a lot of misinformation floating out there. Like the Cato Institute put out this thing, they're not serious felons. They're not convicted. They're not serious felons. Well, then you look at their definition. Okay, well, if you slap your wife around, but you don't, break her nose or break her arm, that's just non-aggravated domestic violence. It's okay. They should be able to stay. I'm like, yeah. When you dig into the studies, it's like, what?
Well,
okay, well.
Here's my thing with statistics and these studies.
Yeah.
Who's paying for them is where you need to look.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Because if you see who's paying for it or who's paying for it, you're going to see how that study or those statistics benefit whoever's paying for them. I don't have into any studies, any surveys, none of that. I mean, it's so skewed nowadays. It's like Nielsen ratings. Why do they even have those anymore?
So I was, because I read these studies, and you guys know, I'll freely admit now that we're all retired, I'm a nerd. I look at a study and I dig into it. Okay, because I didn't know anything about the Cato Institute, right? And some of their opinions I agree with. Their opinions on Second Amendment, okay, I kind of agree with that. But they are hard and they're down with we have to have illegal immigration there, and every article is, look, they commit less crimes than U.S. citizens. And, as soon as I see something like that, I go, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, we all know incentive, right? Do they have a greater incentive not to report crime? And do they have a greater incentive not to commit crime? Because if they get caught, where do they go? Back to Haiti, back to Venezuela. Yeah. So their incentive to avoid contact with the police is much greater, right? So of course they're going to have, and they don't dig into those little facts, right? And that's the part that bothers me, right? Because we know that, right? And they don't know that. But it's just.
They commit crimes less. This is what kills me. They commit crimes less than U.S. citizens because they're not citizens. So. It's like political ads. If you read at the bottom who's paying for the ads, it'll tell you why they're telling you to vote no. I mean, go to the gas tax, vote no, sponsored by all the construction industry. Well, who's benefiting from the gas tax? I just heard.
And you got to understand, all the PhDs. And out of the hundreds that I've met and worked with, 2 of them had common sense. Most PhDs are just, and usually they lean left.
Yeah. They get indoctrinated. Yeah, so we got Splash of Red brought up Dominic Dunn and her murder, and so this is an ongoing. It continues today. We still have these obsessions today, and I don't get it. I mean, even when I was working, there were actually some stuff show up and guys would get Google-eyed, even deputies, but I never did, because I always just saw them as they're just working folks.
Yeah,
they're just that's the way I saw it. I never saw anything special about them.
Oh, I agree. We had a case in West Hollywood that Joe Hartshorn handled. It was actually in LAPD's area, and what they did, this is what, if I could recollect correctly, they went to, it was a black female that worked Entertainment Tonight. She was on screen a lot. Can't remember her name, and she was being stalked. So LAPD goes there, and they say, "Oh, we'll do the paper shit."
Yeah, the restraining order.
Restraining order.
Yeah.
Would be. But then he tries to sell her. We can't stay here all the time, but we have a security unit. So he's trying to sell his security company to guard her, and she's just like, "Dude, I'm out of here." She came to us, and Joe Hartshorn handled it, him and one of his detectives. And they go to this guy's house, and he's living in West Hollywood, or Hollywood's area. And she's on TV at Paramount Studios, and the guy's going, "You see the way she's looking? She loves me." And Joe's like, "What?" Yeah, they took him for $51.50, but there's just a lot of fucking wackos out there, dude.
It me.
We did have a comment from somebody. Hollywood stars, but what about the rest of us? I will say, yes, and the stalking laws do work, because we'll get ex-husbands that are obsessed with their ex-wives, vice versa, women that are obsessed with the guy down the street. It happens all the time, a lot more than people think. And it isn't just stars. It's just the stars probably get more attention they get more attention because they're on TV and they're in movies.
Exactly.
But it does happen to normal folks, and sometimes it happens to that the boyfriend that won't go away, that you broke up with, and keeps hanging out and harassing you and showing up in every place. That happens, right? So anyway, so I do think restraining and certain, like they just had something in Rhode Island. I don't know if you saw it.
The hockey rink.
Yeah, the dad was all dressed up as a woman.
Well, he just went through gender reassignment, and the family didn't agree with it. So hey, let me just kill them all.
Yeah, shot up his family.
And,
so
at a hockey game
too.
Yeah,
kill himself too.
A certain amount of that is obsession, right? There's a certain amount of mental illness going on there, and so like I'm sure if they knew what was going on, they'd have got a restraining, and they might even add a restraining order on the guy. But yeah, so this I think Rebecca Schaefer's law and taking this stuff a little more serious has probably saved lives. I can't quantify that, and Play Misty for the movie that we're going to review just talks about that theme about stalking way before we even thought about the laws. And let's start rolling with this film, and we'll get into it.
Johnny Versace was another one.
Which one?
Johnny Versace.
Oh, Johnny Versace. Yeah.
His restaurant.
That was Andrew
its name, it's not his, but it's actually really good. We went there and ate, but they have a little plaque where he got killed.
We're getting a little bit of feedback on your mic there, Scott. So I don't know if are you using earbuds or whatever?
I'm just using my.
It breaks up a little bit. Okay. Yeah, Johnny Versace was killed by Andrew Cunanan, I believe is what his name was. But that was a cross-country killer,
he was
right?
A serial killer.
He was targeting old gay men. He got AIDS, and I guess he was taking it out on them. So because that's who he slept with, those were his customers. So, but Play Misty for Me, like I said, was released in 1971. It stars Clint Eastwood. Now, I think this is one of his first directorial things. And if you see him in the first scene, you see him where he's standing on the balconies looking out. It just reminded me of Dirty Harry. And this predated.
We got a lot to do with that too on this movie.
Yeah, he predated Dirty Harry, but the look and of him standing on that thing, I just thought, oh, that's a Dirty Harry look, right? And I don't know if he was already in negotiations for Dirty Harry or not, but that's what I thought. And this came out before that. And here's what we're talking about, John, Carmel by the Sea. This is you can have a shoebox on a cliff and it's going to cost you $4 million, right, to get this view. So and $20,000 a month for fire insurance in California.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Is that mic better?
I have this doctor, and he lives in a canyon, right? And he pays a ton of money. He pays like $30,000 a year just for fire insurance. I was like,
oh my
God, and it's minimal coverage, right? And that's California. I was at an event, and I met a gal running for the insurance commissioner, and we sat down and talked for a while. And I told her my thoughts, and then she got up and she used my thoughts in her speech. But so it's crazy. We have no common sense when it comes to policies in California. And even as insurance skyrockets, the insurance commissioner's just traveling around the world having a good time. He doesn't really care how much we're paying. But yeah, Princess Diana, you're right. And the paparazzis, there's a lot of stalking with her. I think a little of that stalk, but part of that is the fame. These paparazzis. I tell you, when we worked West Hollywood, John, those guys were all over the place on some of these people. Wouldn't leave them alone, because if you got a good picture of a star, you could sell it and make some decent money. And so that you had all these guys running around with cameras taking pictures of these people, trying to sell it to Inquirer or whoever. To make some money, right? And that's what that's all about. And it was deep in Hollywood because we both policed. Well, Scott had been there for some events, right? You worked the other boulevard, not Sunset Strip, right? But it the Boys Boulevard. but if those paparazzis, they would get a picture of you, they could sell it for thousands of dollars, particularly if it's a very interesting picture where you're having dinner with somebody that is, maybe not your spouse or your significant other.
Oh yeah, and they'll go right in front of you, in front of the cops. They just want to get in there. They're just asking.
Yeah.
But they're called stringers because that's where they make their money.
Yeah, I backed up a detective who had a case where Sylvester Stallone punched a paparazzi and he had the battery case. So we tried to get to Sylvester's house, and we get to the gate, and you look up the driveway, and it's about like 100 yards of palm trees, and each one of those palm trees is like $1,000, right? And the houseboy came down in his his Mercedes convertible to talk to us at the gate, and they wouldn't let us up. But so that was big in Hollywood, that kind of stuff. But also in this film is Donna Mills. Now Donna Mills, if I remember correctly, she was in Knots Landing, right, John?
Knots Landing, absolutely. Years on General Hospital, then she made it to Knots Landing. Did that for 10, 12 years.
And she plays the love interest here. Kind of got her hair. Now when she was in the Incident, she had the long blonde hair. Now it's kind of feathered and chopped up a little bit. I didn't like her look in this movie. I liked her much better.
Not at all.
In the Incident. But she, and it's funny. He's a player, right? In this movie, Clint is a player, right? And she knows that, and she breaks it off with him,
right?
Because he's a player. And of course, it starts, he sees a gal in the bar, the stalker. Here we go, right here. And he's interested in her, and she's nice looking. And for him, hey, it's just Friday night, this isn't anything special. And he goes home with her, and then he's, and she's like, he's like an STD, right? You can't get rid of it, and the stalker, right? And and obviously he's not thinking correctly, and here she is. Here's our what's her name? I forget her name now, John. Let's see here. I just said it at the beginning of the movie here. Jessica Walters. Yeah, she plays Evelyn Draper is her character, and she did get a Golden Globe for this, and I thought she did a good job, and I think we've done a lot of these movies where probably the most interesting role to play is the nut job crazy person, right? Because it's probably a lot more fun. I don't know, but I think she did a pretty good job. What do you think,
She
Scott?
did a great job. Yeah,
she did a great job.
Later on, she'd been around for 30, 40 years. Working TV. Arrested Development. You ever see that TV show?
Yeah.
She played on that for years. And 90210, they brought it back in like 2001, and she was on that too.
Well, so I got to ask you a question, Scott. When they're crazy like this, is this one you want to take home? I say no, but some guys like.
What they say about the crazy ones.
Yeah, how do you know she's crazy though? You didn't know that till the next day.
But he was
crazy.
Malone Archer in the early days. I don't know, man. When they got crazy eyes, or they're when they're over the top, that love bombing stuff, that should be a big challenge. Hey guys, I've subscribed to the channel. I'm new. So what do you guys usually talk about here? Well, on this show, we go over cop shows. This is Morning Coffee with the Chief. We're all retired law enforcement, and we'll look at cop or crime shows, and we'll talk about it. In this case, it's Play Misty for Me, which has a stalking theme. And you just missed a whole discussion on the importance of the new stalking laws that came about after the death of Rebecca Fisher. But welcome to the show, and thank you for subscribing. And this movie is Play Misty for Me with Clint Eastwood, his first movie that he directed, The Crazy Person, who we just talked about. She does a fantastic job of being crazy. Fatal Attraction, good one. Bunny Boiler. Yeah, that's. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah. That was. Ooh.
Yeah, that was Glenn Close. She played a good crazy person too. Yeah, I was like, wow, I didn't know who Glenn Close was till she did that, and I go, ooh, I don't want to meet her in a dark alley. And but here's so. What did you think of the clothes, John? the 70s clothes. Now
it's the 70s clothes. You know, the periwinkle shirts he wears and all that. Yeah, paisleys.
Did you keep those, John? Did you keep those in your closet?
Hey, they all come back around, all right? Hey, I just
Superfly collar.
And the problem I have with this movie is, you know how I was before I was married, and Clint Eastwood and I have the exact same birthday.
Do you really?
Yep, May 31st.
Wow.
So a lot of similarities there.
Yeah,
I've got the most perfect wife. So
the high heel shoes and the big collars.
Oh
and
yeah,
bell bottom
boots,
pants,
high heels, wedges. Yeah, bell bottoms, all that stuff.
John is just a few years older than Scott and I, so he would have been styling with this stuff in high school, right?
Just a few years.
Yeah, baby. I was styling like that when I came out of the apartment in '78.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I look at
leisure
some of those
suits, man, leisure suits.
I look at some of those shots of what the detectives used to wear, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't imagine. But what do you think of the car? Now the Jag.
Oh, beautiful.
That was
Jaguar, 1957 Jaguar XK 150 drop head coupe convertible.
Now he raced it around, John. Now that other person that I used to be married to before we were no longer married, I bought her an older Jag, and it looked good, but it didn't really have a lot of guts. They're driving this one around like it has guts. Did it have a
6-cylinder?
Okay, yeah, I didn't. But he's zipping around there like it's a little race car, but it's more style than
it's Carmel by the Sea.
What do they call it? Touring. It's more touring of a touring car than a race car. What do you think of the car, Scott? I mean, none of us could fit in that thing now, but what did you think of it?
I don't think I could have fit in it back then.
No, I said none of us. Say Pat, John, and Scott around the time when it came to cop movies where they traditionally over the top, very flashy. Yeah. And well, here's the thing. I mean, cops are generally conservative, right? In terms of their dress and everything else. And, but in they went crazy in the 70s, and you saw these suits with the check marks and big ties and that kind of, you remember Maynard Davis, right? You remember him, John?
Yeah.
Man, it was dark suit, white shirt, and we all looked like we were working in the FBI, and everybody else in detective bureaus around the county are, wearing jeans and whatnot, and we're all in suits. So I was a night detective. I had to wear a suit, so because that's the way he was, but a very conservative dress. But it was funny. I went down to Lenox one, and I was picking up a guy, and I must, I think I was, how old was that? I was 28, but I looked like I was 25. But I roll up in a suit, and they're not used to seeing somebody in a suit. And that's who I said, I need to talk to somebody back in your lockup. Who are you? Detective Jordan. and they were a little nervous because I came in a suit, and I wasn't anything more than any of them, right? But so I did get the impression if you dressed up and looked good, it that's kind of your uniform, right? But these 70s styles are a little crazy. So here's our crazy lady. Now he has a one-night stand with her, right?
Yep.
And she, of course, finds out where he's at, and she shows up with the groceries. She's going to cook dinner for him, right? And this should be screaming red flag here, boundary violation, right? But she's what'd you say, John? They went to his house and he was watching her. He says, she's looking at me. That's what's happening here. She's saying, hey, I wonder how many guys she did this with. This is my, he's in love with me. I'm in love with him. This is going to be our fairy tale ever after.
Exactly.
And he's thinking, well, you were just Friday night, so why are you here?
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Except she must have been okay because he got over it pretty quickly, and well, it's like I mean, really, this is the nobody really asks this question or says this question in the movie. Well, why do you keep hanging out with her? I mean, that's the obvious question, right? His buddies should have asked it. His other DJ, right? why is she still hanging around then? Well,
Yep.
you know.
Well, James McEachin, who
She's
played his
crazy.
partner there,
Yeah,
even
she's
said it.
crazy.
He says, you're always out there looking. That's why your girlfriend ain't coming back, because you a player.
That's right. What were you going to say, Scott?
I was going to say that she's crazy.
Yeah.
So, he's probably not getting that type of crazy anywhere else, so that's why he keeps hanging out with her.
Well, I mean, I don't know, man. When I was working with Hollywood and I was single, I was really very guarded on who I dated, particularly if I met them at work, because there's the seedy side of Hollywood. You see it, right? And you
Yep.
don't know who they are, right? I mean, I don't know, John, if you were more discerning than I was, but I was very cautious because, at then, of course, I still had hair. I was still nice and trim, and but I couldn't. I actually never dated a girl that I met at West Hollywood, except maybe a couple of ride-alongs.
I did one, and
Married her.
good-looking little wannabe actress.
Yeah.
And we went out, had a nice dinner, and I'm driving her back to her house in West Hollywood. She goes, "So, you could probably get some coke out of the evidence locker, can't you?" I went, "What?" I pulled over and said, "Get the fuck out." She got out of the car and I drove away.
I stand corrected. I did date a girl once, and she asked me to come over in my uniform and do things, and I said I can't do that. So, that was like danger. Will Robinson was all I was thinking.
Yeah.
Danger. Will Robinson. So here's Donna Mills, and Clint is trying to rekindle his romance with her, and she's got his number. No way. You're a player. You have to make. And what does he say? I think he says, "Well, I'm working on it."
Yeah, I'm trying to get
not
better.
very hard.
Yeah, apparently it's not really hard.
Now he says something to this guy that was hilarious. I got to get this line. So this guy is a gay guy here, right? And he says to him, "Why don't you just go find a sailor?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, I'm not something like I'm not into seafood or something like that."
Yeah, not into seafood right now.
Not into seafood right now. Why don't you just go find a sailor? I'm not into seafood right now. I thought that was a pretty funny line. I don't know if you guys caught that one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I always wonder, did that one get written, or did that guy just throw it in? Right? Was
could
that an ad libbed? But I thought that was pretty funny. And yes, I got stalker. Well, manipulation. That's the other one. You see, these stalkers. This whole love bombing is all manipulation, and she manipulates him. But of course, she's playing to not the brain up here, right? And he's ignoring all the warning signs because he's enjoying he's enjoying the bedroom action. Let's say it. That's what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, it slowly he started to realize, because she'd start like when she were arguing in front of the bar, and the guys up at the top, they go, "Lady, you need help?" She goes, "Fuck off, asshole."
I know.
He's like, "What the fuck?" That's when he's like, maybe I gotta rethink this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been. And what? Now she knows where you live at. And Jad, the movie's around. Came at the accuracy of police work and detective investigation. Okay, so I'll answer that one. They don't show how much paperwork you have to do every time you make an arrest.
Shit.
There's it's all action because that's the more interesting part. But there's a lot of downtime in police work.
But it's boring for TV and movies.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of due diligence you have to do once you make an arrest. So I don't know if that helps you. I will say.
Snuffland.
So 3 days ago, I was on a show, right? And I was asked, "What do you think of the Guthrie, the case where the gal?" And I saw the video. I said, "I think it's a local burglar. I think it's
a relative."
No, I think it's a hot prowl burglar that went wrong. If you looked at the video, he had a backpack, right? What do they carry in the backpacks? They're tools for the trade, and he had gloves, and of course he had a mask. To me, that screamed a hot prowl burglar, which we saw all the time, John, in West Hollywood because of the hypes. You remember?
Yep.
And so that's what I saw. And then last night, they're investigating that this is probably a burglary gone wrong. I go, God, they should have had me on the case. So, but then again, I also realized that, they got like 30,000 leads and, and nutcases are demanding ransom that are not connected probably to the kidnapping at all.
Yeah.
Well, my thing was she really kidnapped? Because a lot of time has passed, so I don't think they're going to find her living.
Oh yeah, no. She's 84 and she's in fragile health. I mean, who kidnaps something like that? So yeah, I agree with you, Scott, and that's a sad thing to say, but I think, I was trying to say there's nothing really. This looks like a hot prowl burglar gone wrong. I mean, let's keep in mind, the Night Stalker started out as a hot prowl burglar. Graduated to rape and murder, right? And these people who do hot prowl burglars, it isn't just about stealing; it's the excitement about breaking in when they know somebody's there. So they're a very unique kind of burglar. That's what it looked like to me, John. I don't know. And
it does.
And so I would be looking at who are the hot prowl burglars in the area, who got released from prison that does that kind of stuff, and who has that kind of MO. But it sounds like they got DNA and. Maybe, and they're going to put
in a glove. Apparently.
And if they use a hot prowl burger, then he's been arrested before, and they would have DNA. So hopefully they find that gal. But
they said that the DNA came back to an unidentified male.
Unidentified male. Well, that's tough. So, all right. So hey, our bartender here. The bartender is Don Siegel.
Yes, the director of Dirty Harry.
Yeah, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah. He did a lot of movies.
Yeah.
In fact, you'll see all through this movie, a lot of the players in here played in a lot of Clint Eastwood stuff.
Yes, he did The Shootist.
Yep.
Which I really, I want to use the movie clip if I didn't have if I wasn't going to get a strike on YouTube for copyright. Remember when at the end of the Body Snatchers, and it's Donald Sutherland, and his body's been snatched, and he sees his friend, and he points and screams. Yeah, that just reminds me of a progressive leftist when they don't get their way. They just point and scream. That's what I always think. You know what scene I'm talking about? You're one of them. You're not one of me. So where do you actually felt that the police officer? I missed that one. You put all these. Let's see here. What do you think? Understand my question. I'm asking is the police movie around the time that you guys actually watch. The guys watch as cops analyzing the movie. Did you feel the portrayal of police work as accurately? It really depends. When I think it like the genre that probably launched by Joseph Wambaugh was kind of a dark perception of police work, but I wouldn't say that police work. There were some dark themes and people struggling with post-traumatic stress and that kind of thing, but I wouldn't say that characterized all of police work. John, what do you think?
Yeah, you have to understand, Anthony, that wrote that no matter what, Hollywood's going to stick in some dramatic license to make it go faster, make it look more exciting, and change things. But if you want to look at a procedure for police cops and detectives, look at Southland, the TV series, and look at Police Story, the TV series from the early 70s.
Yeah.
And frankly, it was the City Confidential that we did was a great movie. They did a lot of good stuff in there, but also showed all the how bad it was back in the 40s and 50s, with police work in LA, how corrupt it was. So that was a great show. But
I think Adam 12.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Dragnet. I mean, if you watch the reruns of Adam 12, the stuff they were dealing back in the 60s is the stuff that's still being dealt with in police work.
Yep.
Same with Dragnet. Same stuff. I mean, the laws have changed, of course, but it's the same type of stuff. You're sitting at your desk, and as a detective, and a call comes in, and you're like, all right, we'll go check it out, and off you go. And but nothing depicts. I've never seen a movie that depicts like the night where it's raining You're out on patrol, and it's just sheer boredom.
Yes. Yeah.
They're not gonna, you know.
Yeah, and then nowadays, though, they have their phones, so they can do shit on their phones. And back when we were on patrol, we didn't have anything. You'd read a book.
You were snooping around to find something so you can get out of the rain, right? You know.
Yeah, you took people to jail.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I like to work in Hollywood, because it really never slept. And John knows what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
When I went from Hollywood to Carson kind of rolls up after like 2:30, right?
Yeah.
And but West Hollywood, no, it was, you know, because the bars closed at 2. Then all the wallflowers who didn't get a date are out on the street trolling for a date, right?
Yep.
And then you got the people high on coke and meth out there, and the prostitutes, and you got the burglars are all active at that hour. So you could stay busy the whole time in Hollywood. In fact, I think the slowest time was probably when people started waking up at probably 6 to 10. People are just going to work. I mean, it was busier in movement, but you didn't really have the crime stuff going on, or at least wasn't as visible, right? But yeah, you know, it was. So yeah, you're right, Scott. I mean, and I would say at 2:30 in nearly every community I worked, because they were mostly bedroom communities, it was the same thing. Even if it was a bad area, streets rolled up around 2:30. You know. But Hollywood was a different animal, right? It kept going. So, and they wanted to pass a law to test keeping the bars open until 4 o'clock. And I'm thinking, what the hell is wrong with these people? Do we need 2 more hours of drinking? We don't.
Hey, here in Vegas, it's the same way.
But
Vegas cops are very busy.
But then they'll turn around and go, "Why are there so many drunk driving arrests at 6 o'clock in the morning?"
Yeah, exactly.
Why are we having such drunk driving in the morning? The bars are open until 4. Come on.
Okay, so I mentioned love bombing, but it's important here. So this guy he's getting love bombed by her. She's showing him to cook him food. She's probably doing whatever he wants in the bedroom, and she's trying. This happens, and this should be a big red flag. When somebody love bombs you, right? You know, and when I found myself single at 50, I had one of these, and I'm like, there was a lot of good things about that, but the love bombing, it worried me, so I ended that relationship. But that should be a warning sign for anybody who's in a relationship when they're doing this, right, Scott?
Oh yeah, they start sending you stuff, showing up with teddy bears, and you're like, "What the hell? We went out once."
Yeah, she gave him a big stuffed animal to sleep with when she's not there. You know, talk about feeling high about yourself. Now, I like this guy too, John, and
James McEachin.
Yeah, I don't think that he was in a lot of Clint's movies after this one. I was checking him out.
No, he was in one. He was in Sudden Impact.
Oh, he was. Okay.
Yeah, and he played a lot of Perry Mason, Matlock, Mannix, Emergency. He was in a lot of those.
Yeah. I have to tell you, having done the radio thing I did for the last 2 years where you go on live, right now I'm recording my shows and letting them go. But, you know, the whole thing where you're going for an hour or 2 hours, right? And you have to just you don't want dead air, but you have to keep going. I would love to be able to just play music. And I like how he gets a song going, he makes a phone call, you know, and it's just, but I don't think you have to really know a lot about what you're talking about if you're doing DJ work, but she bothers him at work too. This David, where are you? Well, I'm at work. Can you listen to the radio?
There was a deputy at Carson that you would look at him and you would not think that he was a ladies' man. He's deceased now, God rest his soul, but you'd be working the desk. Well, I had to work the desk a couple of times because Captain didn't like me and whatever. But these girls would call him round the clock, the whole shift. And it's like we didn't have cell phones. So it's like, so finally I'd tell him, look, you've called twice. If you call me one more time, I'm just going to hang up on you, because we'll give him the message when he comes in out of the field, or we'll send him a message on And then you'd send him the message, and he's like, "Tell her I'm on vacation or something." Dude, she knows you're here. That's why she's calling.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys did that at every station.
Yeah.
And I told him, hey, I ain't your choir director, so shut the fuck up. No.
Yeah. But I never was good looking enough to.
Hey, Scott, it's not you. It's the pension. It's the steady paycheck. I mean, come on now. We all know.
It's the swave and the boner.
Yeah. You just said, man, nowadays, you got health insurance?
Yeah.
We were driving through April Tardy, who's the undersheriff now.
Yeah.
We were driving through Compton. She was my I don't know, she wasn't a trainee, but I was showing her the ropes, and we're driving down a street, and we get flagged down, and the guy's like, "Hey," and believe it or not, there's people that live in Compton that are like this. He waves us down, and we're like, "Oh," we can see the party going on. We're like, "Oh crap, here we go." And we're in our, OSS outfit and our, unmarked units. And he goes, "Hey, you guys want some barbecue? We just made some barbecue." So we're like, "Sure." So he goes and comes back with some barbecue, and then his sister comes down, and he starts trying to hit on April. Finally, the sister looks at him and says, "Fool, she ain't gonna go out with you. You ain't got no benefits. You don't have health insurance, and you ain't even got a job."
Oh my God, that's great.
It was hilarious. Barbecue was good.
Oh yeah, they know barbecue down there.
Well, the other thing that strikes me about this character is she doesn't seem to work, so she seems to be independently wealthy, right? And
at first I thought she worked at the bar, but I guess not.
Yeah, and
no, she's just bar fly. And
what's that? She's used to getting her way, right?
Oh yeah.
Is that, would they call it narcissistic, John? Would stalkers be considered to some degree? I mean, obviously there's mental illness.
Dark narcissists.
Yeah, but they're narcissistic too. They believe, well, he must love me. This is me, right? And
yep.
And so
narcissistic tendencies. Yep. But
yeah,
she was whack.
So she's on the spectrum.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Well, this is where, I mean, we think about all the villains of the movies that we, I mean, there's Hans Gruber, right, and Die Hard, right, and then there's he was a good villain, right, and then she's a good villain. I mean, we just talked about it. I didn't do the movie, but Glenn Close in
the Rabbit.
Yeah, the
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction.
This movie and that movie made me. I'm never going to cheat on my wife.
Yeah, that was some scary shit. But it started the same way. If you think about Fatal Attraction, he met her at like a conference or something. Yeah. And then they started hanging out, and then she just would not leave him alone.
Yeah. They get it in their head that this is the guy or this is the gal, and they can't let it go.
Yep, that fatal attraction, exactly.
So this, I don't know about this whole. I think Clint just wanted a love scene with Donna Mills when he put this whole big scene in there, right? She's.
I wasn't impressed.
I was cold though. I couldn't get into that. When they're in the water and then they're laying in the woods, I'm like, that just looks cold to me.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I don't care what time of year it is; it's going to be freezing up there.
Yeah, and she's in the pool. They're in the pool of water. I go, well, where the hell is that at? So they just selected it, and this will be good. Let's do this shot here, but nobody else does that, right? And
because every guy knows that a cold waterfall. There's going to be shrinkage.
It's an innie, not an outie.
So yeah, I think he just wanted a love scene with Donna Mills here, and so they reconnect, and with his flame, and he's going to try to be true to her even as he's getting stalked and having crazy affections from the crazy lady. But yeah, so when we talk about this, this probably wouldn't be in a movie that's made now where they got this kind of long drawn out love connection scene. It's almost like a Hallmark movie. This part of the movie, right? Useless.
A scary Hallmark movie.
Yeah. Well, that piece with Donna Mills, right? And
yeah.
But the other thing that comes up here is, and we got a few minutes before we go on our break, and we'll finish with this thought, is, the stalker now, is going to be turning her attention to the love interest, which it's almost telegraphed in the movie, right? That's coming, right?
Well, yeah, first she tried to commit suicide.
Yeah.
To get his affections.
Yes.
That didn't work, and then it just keeps going downhill after that.
Well, why didn't you call the cops or an ambulance? You call your private doctor?
Well, he did. He brought in Jack Ging, played the doctor, and he patched her up. And he says, "Yeah, I don't want any press because I'm working on this deal, and it's going to ruin his reputation because he's trying to make that deal with that lady to go, nationwide." And
he wanted
the doctor hushed it up.
Yeah, he wanted a deal to get a broader audience, right? Which is every disc jockey or whatever is looking for the bigger audience to go to, or the bigger market, right?
Yep, exactly.
Want to get to the LA market, right, or something like that, and so that's why he wanted to keep it quiet. But you're right, Scott. Had he just had her committed 5150 at the time,
he did later, but
it was right. Well, that was after she stabbed somebody. He could have prevented that and all that other stuff. And
cleaning lady, the doctor Jack Ging, he is a former Marine like Scott.
Yeah,
he played in the '54 Orange Bowl. Played for Clemson, OU, Oklahoma University.
Wow.
Played Canadian football, but he also was the colonel on the A-Team TV series.
Really?
And Wise Guys, and played in a lot of Gunsmokes. Mannix, and he played in Hang 'em High and High Plains Drifter with Clint Eastwood.
So he's one of Clint Eastwood's regular character actors.
A lot of these people, when you find good actors and you get along with them, you know that they're going to do the good job. You stick with them when you hire them.
Look at John Wayne.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It was interesting story. John Wayne recommended James Arness for Matt Dillon because they wanted him to play it. And he goes, no, not me. You need somebody younger. And James Arness was a fantastic Matt Dillon. So, I mean.
Yeah, they played in a commie movie right after World War II and just before Korea where they were FBI, CIA, or FBI agents. And he and James Arness became good friends. And then he suggested him for that role.
Yeah. So,
and the rest is history.
The rest is history. So here's so this is, I think, the doctor patching her up. Right, you're right. So she did try to commit suicide. And Martine, are we getting queued up for halftime so us old guys can go use the facilities and lock the doors and make sure the stalkers aren't going to come in?
Yeah, I think we can manage to do that.
You manage that? All right, let's roll with halftime, and we'll be back. We're locking the doors, closing the windows, and make sure stalkers don't come into our houses during the show. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
There's only one location on the internet where you can get it all: movie, TV, and comic industry. News and rumor analysis, official scoops from Geekosity magazine, reviews, and interviews. So, when you need it to be Sunday, there's only one place to go, mate. Pop Culture Minefield, where they're always talking nerd stuff. Right, jog on then. There's only one location on the internet where you can get it all: movie, TV and comic industry, news and rumor analysis, official scoops from Geekosity magazine, reviews, and interviews. So, when you need it to be Sunday, there's only one place to go, mate. Pop Culture Minefield, where they're always talking nerdy nerd stuff. Right, jog on then.
Oh, okay. We are back on Pop Culture. I just want to remind folks to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, like the show, and help support the channel. Are we missing John? John seems to have. Is he coming? There he is. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back. And so remember, folks, to subscribe to the channel so we can grow the audience and defeat the YouTube algorithms. I'm learning a lot about how YouTube works nowadays and their analytics. I mean, I did a show on fentanyl, and I go, okay, this isn't going to go very well because I'm not going to get a whole lot of action on it. But hey, if you subscribe to the shows, we talk about stalking here. That probably ain't going to work so well either. But if you subscribe and like the shows, it helps us overcome those things that YouTube doesn't want us to talk about. Now, during this movie, she says to him, "Are you trying to say that you don't love me anymore?" During one of their exchanges, and love. He's like, love. I've never said I loved you, and he's just trying to set boundaries here. And he realizes, maybe picking her up at the bar was a big mistake. I think this is after she tried to commit suicide, right? And then she manipulated him to stay there instead of going on his date with the
Yep, exactly.
Donna Mills.
That's exactly what it was, manipulation.
And she calls Donna Mills the bitch, right? That's because that's her, right? That's it. And Clint realizes, well, he probably realized a while ago that the crazy wasn't worth it, right? And now he's stuck with her. How do I get rid of this? How do I get rid of this crazy person? And in the end, he kind of loses, to some degree, he loses almost everything in terms of, we're going to see it, he loses his opportunity. Donna Mills is concerned, right? And people around him suffer because of this relationship. So, yeah, I don't know. Keep crazy out of your life, I think, is the moral story.
And then
right?
he had that meeting with Madge Brennan.
Yeah.
And she shows up there and says, "You're with this old broad. You're trying to fuck her." And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, I know. That was crazy.
And he's got to drag her ass out. Oh, my God.
All right, so look at this view, John. So how much do you think that house would be worth there sitting on the cliff? If it's still there, if it hasn't burned down.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, 5-6 million.
Just for a little shack,
Yeah. Well, it's California, so it's going to be 10 times more than any other state. But with that view.
Even where he lived at was, it did look, they successfully demonstrated a bachelor pad from the 70s, I think.
They did. And what's funny? You open up that gate to the fence, and it's wide open. You walk right into his bedroom.
Yeah, yeah.
That was too hippie for me.
It was like he was almost living in a studio, a glorified studio apartment, right?
Yeah.
And that was his dig.
Several $1 million.
Yeah, because it was at Carmel by the Sea, right? And that's what his radio station was called. So.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. But all the billionaires are leaving the state of California now, so they're selling their, Carmel by the Sea houses for pennies on the dollar because they want to escape the billionaire tax here in California.
And Virginia's getting just as bad.
Well, Scott, it hasn't passed yet because it's going to be it's going to be on the ballot. The problem with it is once it passes, it says anybody who was a resident as of January 1st, 2026. So that's why the billionaires all started buying houses and establish residency in other states, in Florida mostly.
Yep.
In 2025, so that they wouldn't be a resident January 1st, 2026, and it's lunacy. I mean, if you understand the taxing, I think 50% of the income tax comes from like the top 1% in California, meaning they pay half the taxes in the state already, and they want more, right? And as that guy that Nick. The guy that busted all the stuff up in Nick Shirley up in Minnesota is now rooting around all over California, finding corruption here and fraud here, and he's starting to look at the election stuff, and now they got a task force going in California for fraud, and they're digging into all of this stuff, and it's so prevalent that it's going to be way worse than Minnesota, because they went from $100 billion surplus to a $25 billion deficit.
69 billion now.
Well, they say 25 to 30 over the next several years, meaning each year you're going to have a deficit that size under Gavin Newsom, and you can't spend that kind of money without there being fraud. You just can't.
Exactly.
I mean, if you have good systems.
Well, look at the train.
Yeah.
You and I both told them not to do it. You and I told them, no, you don't want to do this. It's not going to work. And they did it, and it's still nothing. Nothing.
They'd have been.
Even here in Tennessee, they hate Newsom, but anyway.
Good.
They showed his press conference when he's standing there talking about how great, the project's going, and he's standing in front of tracks that have already been laid, that aren't even near where the tracks are supposed to be, and he's standing next to a diesel-powered train.
Yeah. I have to talk about the maid here, because I thought her she had a good character, just coming in and looking at, what am I going to find in the bachelor pad today, right?
Right.
And she, I think it's almost a little bit of comic relief here in the movie, as she, what am I going to find? And of course, she eventually she surprises our crazy person and gets killed. But I do like her character. I didn't look her up, John. Did you get a chance to look this actress up?
No, I did not.
Yeah, but probably out of all of the character actors, hers was the best here, in terms of she had a little meat in the role, and she got, and here's Madge Brenner, our other lady that had. I think these are just when the maid walks into the bachelor pad, and it's like, okay, what am I going to find in this bachelor pad today, right?
Or who?
Because so you have cleaning police people, and but we clean up before the cleaning people come, right? So it's not too bad, and then they're just going to do the heavy stuff, right?
Right.
But the bachelor guy here, that's not what he's about. So
yeah, she's got to pick up all the rubbers and change the sheets. I just looked her up. Claire Taylor.
Yeah.
She played on Sanford and Son as Cousin Emma.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll be damned.
She's obviously way younger here, right? And
she was Anna Huxtable, the mother of on the Cosby Show, the mother of Bill Cosby.
Oh, so she's a long time working actress then. Good for her. Good for her.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but like I said, I like how she goes in. It's like, what am I going to find today in this bachelor pad? I don't want to touch anything,
Exactly. Well, she talked shit to him the first time. He's drunk and a skunk, and the place is a mess, and he's talking shit about his women, and she was hilarious.
Yeah, that would be the job, but she needs to work, right? I said, but that'd be a job I wouldn't want, unless she just likes the comic. What am I going to find at the Clint Eastwood? I forget his character's name here. I got to pull that up here. What I'm going to find at his pad today? It's David Garver. Now he was also into jazz, which was interesting, right? And
Monterey Jazz Festival.
They showed the Monterey Jazz Festival, and obviously she's stalking him and seeing who he's with, which would be hard to do there, because it's tons of people go to that.
Oh,
right?
A shitload.
Yeah.
But he really put that on the map too by doing that.
Yeah, and it talked about he actually is a self-taught pianist. Plays jazz. He was big into jazz. That he's an aficionado of jazz, and so it's not surprising that his first movie he's got a little bit of artistic license, and he bleeds that in there. He's a DJ on a jazz station. He goes to the Monterey Jazz Festival, and that's who
he rounded out the character.
Yeah, really yeah. Here's where he's having his lunch with Madge, right? And and of course she thinks. Yes, just like Scott, like you're talking. Where's your friend? Here, they're all thinking that he's off. That Debbie's off finding somebody else, right? And that's what this gal thinks, right? That he's off looking for a new date. And it was interesting how he drags her away. God, he'd be arrested for that now. And shoves her in a taxi, right?
Embarrassed Madge, everybody.
But I think it doesn't show it here, but do you remember the face on Madge's face as she's getting yelled at, and she was shocked, right? And so she did a pretty good. Now, see, this is the Clint Eastwood look right here, don't you think? Yep. The whole 70s tie and all that other stuff, standing.
And his hair, that's Dirty hair.
That's, I mean, I don't think Dirty had the sideburns that this guy that he does here, that David does, but I just saw the Dirty hairy look.
Yep.
And now he stood Donna Mills up. He stood Toby up. He stood Toby up, Donna Mills up, and she's mad at him. She obviously likes him because she keeps tolerating him when he keeps coming back with his
well, she moved away for like 6 months.
Yeah, I know.
She's back, and she wants to get back with him.
And it's interesting here. Yes, he wants to get back with Toby, but he also needs to talk to somebody. He needs to, he needs to get advice. What the hell am I supposed to, and explain to her what's going on. Yeah, maybe I can get her back. But part of this is like, I need a friend that can give me some advice. I kind of saw that in the scene. I don't know. I guess if you're with the girl that you really love, you are going to be trying to get advice from her. But this is an unusual situation. How do I get rid of this crazy person who I had I tried to have just a one night stand with. And she just won't go away. And
hey, real quick, Madge.
Yeah.
She's an old actress, been around a long time. She played with Jimmy Stewart in Destry Rides Again and Destry in the 30s and 40s. But also, her son was Jack Jones, the famous singer.
Really?
And he did the Love Boat theme and a whole bunch of other songs. Yep, that was her son.
Yeah, that just shows artistic stuff. Gets passed down in genes. I think there's a certain mark. There she is, right there. Our maid.
Yep.
Right. But I think even Madge, she did a pretty good job of being stunned, right? And of course,
my question is, she's
cutting up the
she attacks the maid, damn near kills her. And then she's out of jail, even though they put her on her 5150. Once they cleared that, don't they usually stay in jail for the charges?
Well, I mean, this was coming out of the 60s in California, and we became enlightened in California there for a while before we became tough on crime, before we became enlightened again. So so they had laws that let people out quicker. But yeah, here she is. She's going crazy. And unfortunately, our maid stumbles into her, and she gets the brunt of the crazy, right? She probably thinks that he's having an affair with her too, right?
Yeah. And
cuts up all of his stuff. It was interesting when she first walks in. She goes, "What happened here?" Now, we would all say, "Okay, time to back out and call for some backup here." But she walks in, right? And you're going, "Bad idea, bad idea." We're all going, "Danger, Will Robinson, don't do that." But she, hey, this is a movie, so I think most people would have backed out and called the police.
I liked her line at the end right there, which is, "I ain't cleaning this mess up."
Yeah. Now the sergeant here is an interesting character actor too.
John Larch.
Yeah.
John Larch has been in Gunsmoke, you name it, he's been in it. And Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry. he fought in World War II, and it was interesting. I guess he saw some really bad stuff, and he struggled for years with it. And
yes, he did.
So yeah, it's funny. We talk about post-traumatic stress now, but we think about all those guys that went through World War II and Korea, and how little support, even Vietnam, how little support they had for them as they came back and were just supposed to just drop right back into their lives and pretend like the brutality that they lived for some of them for years.
Well, even World War I, they called it shell shock back then.
Yeah.
Then it transformed into PTSD.
When my father-in-law came back from Vietnam, when they landed, they ushered all the guys off the plane into a hangar and told them to change into their civilian clothes, and then they walked them out of the back gate of the base.
Wow.
So they wouldn't.
Well, that was because all the hippies and the scumbags that were spitting on people.
Yeah.
And you can thank Jane Fonda for a lot of that.
Right.
When you call the military baby killers, and she goes to Vietnam and sits on a anti-aircraft gun, says, "I wish I could kill all those baby killers."
That's what they're doing to ICE. That's what they're doing to ICE now.
Exactly.
And, I purposely did some shows on my other shows, so you can catch my other shows. Briefing with the Chief on YouTube. Going to be going to Rumble here pretty soon. ICE saves lives. How we reduced overdose death rates. The policy reduce overdose death rates and homicides in our major cities. ICE is having an impact, and it's funny because you can't ever get these people. The media won't talk about it. They won't cover it. None of that. But they are actually saving lives, and because it's because one of the shows I'm going to do coming up just a short is I'm just going to go through who they actually arrested. They took like 4,000 criminals out of Minneapolis.
Oh yeah.
If you take 4,000 criminals out of Minneapolis, crime is going to go down. No matter how you slice it. Hey, if you're going to take 4,000 criminals out of my community, come. But now they're, oh no, we want to save them all. You guys, it's just time with the comparison, and I'm off. I felt the movie, the way it was portrayed in terms of color, I feel that they were trying to mimic the dating show killer. Oh, you know what? That was the dating show killer was Alcaraz. Remember that? Yeah, he killed a lot of people, right? He killed a lot of gals. Yeah. He was pretending to be a photographer.
Yeah, it's
little different story. I think Anthony. I think with that guy, or with Salazar, right? Yeah, it was, and he, that guy, because he would pretend like he's a camera, and we had a lot of those crazy people around Hollywood. Oh yeah, I'm a cameraman, and I take headshots for actresses. And, I'll do it for you for free. And, we had a case and a doctor was doing that. And then he would drug the gals and do things to them. And we were able to make a case against that guy and put him in prison for a long time. But yeah, you have a lot of these. That's different than stalking, though. That's predatory for sure.
That's just a serial killer.
Yeah, serial killer or serial rapist. It's a little different story than this one. This one is a straight stalking story, I think. In my mind, but John Larch, he fought in World War II, and he got interviewed about it, and he said, he actually said it was really hard for me to understand. The people were going on with their lives, and we just went through a worldwide Holocaust. Like, because as soon as World War II was over, everybody just wanted to forget about it. He says he couldn't understand how people could so easily forget about it and move on, but that you kind of have to move on with life after, and but for him, it was interesting. I'm glad I looked that up about him, because we've talked about people who are actors, and mostly actors, because the women didn't fight back then, actors, and that they went through Lee Marvin, right?
Yep. Great American.
Eddie Albert, right? And and all of these guys, and
Audie Murphy.
You look at Audie Murphy. His fame came from his heroes. So a lot of these other guys were actors.
Jimmy Stewart,
and
Clark
then
Gable, Charles Bronson, Jack Palance,
and some of them saw some really, really horrific stuff. And and then you see them on, and you wouldn't know that by looking at them, by watching them, but they managed it as best they could, but they didn't really have the support that we have these days, right? For people that have post-traumatic stress. And speaking of, now this gal doesn't have post-traumatic stress though. She's just crazy, right?
She is batshit crazy.
Just nuts. Here's that scene. That just looks cold to me. Related in the green book. How do they know they're not in poison ivy?
Now, so you know, a lot of this movie, it is showing the beauty of the coast of California. You know, I have to tell you, when we're going through all these policies here where people are leaving California, the only reason people stay is for the weather. I'm telling you, or if they build families here and the kids are staying, you know. Because you know, I met some friends in Mexico not long ago, and they were coming from the tundra, you know, the Midwest. This year was really cold, and I'm leaving 75 to go to 75-degree weather, so it wasn't really much of a change for me. But they loved it, right? And that's what we have here in California. It's this weather, and I think the other things that give it advantages is we're on the Pacific coast. We have the largest port system in the world, or in the country, and all of 40% of our imports come through the ports of Long Beach, and so California has a lot of advantages, and those advantages are being overwhelmed by the foolishness. So here's the Monterey Jazz Festival. Have you ever been? Did you go to the local one? They do one in LA too. It's well, it's the LA Jazz Festival at the Hollywood Bowl. Did you ever go, John?
No.
Yeah, I didn't.
Not the one at Hollywood Bowl, no.
I thought about going, but it's like just, you know, like it's because it's like it runs for like a whole weekend.
Yeah, I went to one in Santa Barbara once. It was really nice.
Yeah, I had a guy I worked with, BJ Deculus. You know, did any of you guys know him?
Yeah.
He got his degree in music, and so when he retired, he started a band, and they would do Zydeco music. He gave me a copy of one of his tapes. You know, it's a Caribbean, kind of a Caribbean jazzy,
Cajun,
kind of,
Creole.
Yeah. And, you know, so he had a band. And Zydeco, that's it, yeah. And that's what he did after he retired for a few years. He was going to all these festivals. He'd go to the Cajun Festival, and I think they had that in Ventura. And he had a band, and he told me, he says, yeah, it's pretty interesting. Most of the guys that are in the band they don't have, you know, he had his pension, right? So we all know that that's a good financial stabilizer when you have a nice pension, right? He says, yeah, I had to take over the finances just because a lot of these guys, they've been musicians all their lives. They don't have a lot, you know, and so I manage it to make sure everybody's treated fairly and everybody shows up. But it was interesting that he got, I forget, I want to say he went to Louisiana State or something, but he got a music degree, did all those years in law enforcement, and then when he was done, he decided to get back in a band. I don't know if you guys have been in touch with Matt Rodriguez lately, but we talked yesterday, and he's going to be like the spa king. He's got like 3 spas open, and he's got a 4th one identified that he's going to open in LA area. So, and he says, yeah, they're doing gangbusters. He's having a lot of fun. So it's always interesting, you know, you meet interesting people on the job, and what could they do when they leave the job, right? And some people build second careers. But here's Clint, and he's at the festival. Now, I would think it'd be hard to spy on him here, but they managed to. I think he just wanted to do a shot at the Monterey Jazz Festival. What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
John? He just wanted to include that because that's a big deal for him in his life. But I don't think it was really practical as a kind of a stalking thing to try and. Now, I was wondering who these guys are. I didn't get a chance to look them up, but I'm assuming that he lined up some good jazz bands.
Tito Puente.
Is that who it is?
I don't know.
You don't know?
It's not. I know Tito Puente. That ain't him.
He's no Tito Puente.
Yeah, so I think Andy says that. I think you're saying this gal is as nutty as a squirrel poop. Yeah, she's pretty crazy.
It's that Brit humor.
Yeah.
There's that Brit humor for you.
That's got to be somebody from the UK. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's okay. All right, so here we are. We got, and so this was some of the stuff in the movie I didn't like, the whole love scene with Donna Mills, and and then this one, they kind of slowed it down a little bit. And nowadays they'd have kept the pace going a little bit. And but like I said, this was a vehicle for Clint to show off a little bit of what was important to him. The Monterey by the Sea, which he ended up becoming the mayor of a few years later, right? Or Carmel
Yep.
by the Sea, and then the jazz, which self-taught pianist, likes jazz, listens to jazz. So this is part of this. So you can see Clint Eastwood in this. What interests him, and to be quite frank, that was a little bit of the boring part for me. So.
But it did kind of match his character, though, being it did.
It did.
Jazz DJ.
Yeah, I guess if you love jazz and would like to,
I like some of it.
I don't like when it gets. Let's see, the listening is just listening in while working, and the chief is right. The weather and the families are the only reason I still live in California. Hey, thanks. I know it's. I have family here, soon to have another grandchild here, so I think I'm in. And I think the other part of this is I got in when everything was cheap, so my cost basis is relatively low. I can't imagine having to buy a house and start a family here, because even a condo in a decent neighborhood is going to be $700,000-800,000, which is how much you pay for your first house, John?
$111,000.
Yeah. My first townhome was $110,000. Scott, what'd you pay for your first house in California?
$172, $177, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So think about it: trying to buy a house in California now, when in a decent neighborhood, to get a 3-bedroom, even condo or townhome, you're looking at $700,000. And then that's. Yeah, without mom and dad helping you, that's really hard to do, right? And but the weather's great. As I opened up the window here to get some fresh air, it's just hard to beat. I remember the first Christmas I was out here, because I obviously grew up in the Midwest. It was 85 degrees Christmas Day, and I go, wow, I don't think I'm leaving. So, but. Gavin Newsom and the Democrats are doing their damnedest to try and get all of us to leave. So here we go. We got we know she just paid me a visit, and here's our police guy. Now as I was watching this part of the show where they're trying to find out where she's at, and she's been released from jail. So you're right. I guess we need to talk about that. Generally when you hold somebody on 72 hours, they only get to hold them. They stabilize them and hold them for 72 hours, right? So that's the law, 5150.
5150.
If you then write a criminal report accompanying that, then technically they should be in custody after that. But not always. That doesn't always happen that way.
No.
And obviously she got out after not very long after stabbing the maid, which is surprising. And I think the other part is since we're talking police, we're going to need to talk about fitness hearings, right? When we have somebody who's a little on the edge there, who's and they've committed a crime, they do what they call a fitness hearing to determine if they understand the law and understand intent and understand what they're doing. So are they fit to stand trial? So are they so crazy that they don't understand, or do they understand? In this case, she would definitely fit with, she understands that what she's doing is wrong, and she understands the ramifications of what she's doing. And I think she would pass the fitness hearing and be prosecuted. But that, it depends on the judge. It depends on what evidence is presented. Have you ever had to do a fitness hearing, Scott? Not for yourself, of course, but for any suspect that you were working with?
No.
Usually work, gang members. They just put them away.
I think the only fitness hearing, they do fitness hearing for juveniles. Are they?
Yeah. I went to those where you got a 12-year-old that shoots up a house
And then they go in there, and of course, they're in their choir boy church, and the family brings his Pop Warner football picture from when he was 7.
Right,
and
right.
He just fell in with the wrong crew and didn't know what he was doing. And really, because he's 12 and he's got tattoos all over himself. But okay, I guess he didn't know what he was doing.
But it's the same concept. They have to evaluate whether the person was mature enough to understand what they were doing. That's what the fitness hearing is all about, and whether they should be tried in an adult court. It's the same concept with mental illness. Do they understand what they're doing, and can they move forward with the trial, right?
True.
But I mean, even though this is 71, you would think that, okay, they find her that she's, not 5150, but like we were saying is, okay, she's not 5150. She knows what she's doing. She just committed attempted murder on a maid, but we're still going to let her out walk in the streets, even though we know she's stalking Clint Eastwood and where it's going to go. I mean, I want to know the judge that said, yeah, give her bail, or no, let's not hold her.
Well, nowadays, yeah, of course they would let her out, right?
Right.
As to what's going on in California and some of the other states, they'd let her out because she's a victim. The suspects are victims now in California these days. Now I missed a scene that it was when he's running around and in his tighty whities. Did you see Clint in his tighty whities? I was surprised. Okay, I mean, obviously he's sleek body, in fit, but he's wearing tighty whities. So obviously this was the 70s, and it was still acceptable
71
for leading men to wear tighty whities. And I don't know if you caught that. I thought it was funny. But one of the characters, as he was talking about the crazy person, looks at Clint and says, "God, you're dumb." As he's talking about the relationship that he had with her, you're dumb because or maybe it was Toby who said it. I can't remember. You're dumb because she sucked him in, so to speak.
Sure she did. Literally.
The interesting thing is this is as she doesn't give up, she's obsessed. And now I didn't agree. We're going to see where now he's on the air, right? He's doing a show, and the sergeant says, "Well, you gotta draw her out, do the trace." I never heard of. Did you ever do traces on phone calls, Scott? Because I'll say is it's a trap, where you set a trap up, where people call in regularly and you can try and figure out who's calling. But I've never seen the whole trace technology. And have you ever done that at all or no?
No. Well, when we had the FBI task force, at Compton, they would do a lot of trap and trace.
Yeah.
But they're the Fed, so they just go, "Hey, we're going to tap this guy's phone."
Yeah, Hyde does that.
Yeah, I mean, they show it on TV, but it's not something that is regularly used by the local cops, right? I mean, it's just no. And I don't think we'd be doing this here too, but they do it in the movie. Adds to the drama, and he's at work and keep her on the line, and we'll trace her to see where she's at and all this stuff. But he correctly, when he's doing all this stuff, he correctly identifies that his girlfriend is probably more in danger than he is, right? Or maybe they probably both are, but look, there's the crazy eyes. So she's does a pretty good job with the crazy eyes thing. We're friends. Not really. Not friends. But he recognizes that his girlfriend is also in danger. And that's what he wants the sergeant to check on. And I don't, I guess she's out in the country or something like that. Now the question is, how did she find? I guess probably because she was following him around. She does a pretty good job of tailing people. I don't know how one person can tail somebody. We usually have a team to tail people.
Yeah,
and she's a one-person tail, and she's able to tail Clint to he must have been driving slow, I guess.
Well, they only got the one road,
Yeah,
Pacific Coast Highway.
Yeah, Pacific Coast Highway.
You can't get away from her.
Yeah,
and
that's the other part of it. It's kind of a small town thing, Carmel, right? And you would think, everybody would know your business, right? Everybody knows your business when you're in these small towns. Well, you grew up in a small town, Scott. You couldn't have an event like this and everybody be talking about it, right?
Oh yeah, it'd be all over town, man. You'd be like, hey, that crazy broad from so
going after the DJ.
Going after the local DJ.
Believe it or not, that's how Vegas is.
Really? Or
it's really not that big, and everybody knows everybody.
Well, you're talking about you talking about people that work on the strip or in the industry, or is it just
everywhere? When I was dating online before I met my gorgeous, perfect wife, you date one girl from over here in Henderson, you date one over in Vegas, and they both know each other. Happened at least 6 times.
Really?
Everybody knows everybody. A lot of connection out here.
Wow.
Scary.
Is that why you had to settle down, John?
Yeah, I got a perfect wife.
Got too scary out there, right?
Yeah, my wife's perfect.
Well, you find the good ones, and that's Scott was lucky. He found the good one the first time around. So
yep.
Or was she lucky?
Yeah, I guess you could say it that way. So here she is. She's cutting up Clint's. When you
I was lucky.
You're lucky. Okay, she's listening now, right?
No, she's in Hawaii.
She's in Hawaii. So here we got Toby's tied up and she's gagged. So she went to her house, and I'm surprised. So obviously Toby's got to survive. Otherwise, this would be a really bad movie. I would think that the stalker would kill her right away. But she cuts up the picture. The picture was the original picture you see in the opening front shot, because you don't really know where. Now you understand that he was standing outside Toby's house, and his picture was in there, and he was pining for her. That's the beginning of the show, right? Now, our stalker is in her place, and of course she cut up the picture of Clint Eastwood, because I was thinking, God, I wonder if he still has that picture, and then she cuts it up later in the movie. I go, probably not. So, but I don't know.
What was really bad about that, though, is she had a different female roommate.
Yeah.
And when that moved out, this one moved in.
Yeah, yes, right.
Scary shit. And he goes, and she's just flying. And he tells her, "You're a real stupid bitch." And takes out the knife.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, God, you're dumb. Yeah, that's right. That's what if she said it to her, and but yeah, it's yeah, you never know. I mean, I would not have probably moved in with anybody that I didn't know. You know what I mean? I've never done that. And even when I was, when I first moved to California, before I had any money to buy anything, and I was, hopping apartments, it was always with somebody I knew or by myself. I wasn't gonna live with a stranger. Never did that. You don't have any choice when you go in the military, but you're all suffering together, I guess, right, Scott? When you're in the military, so
yep.
Everybody's got their own bunk, but hey, it's a different.
Not necessarily. If you have to hot rack on a ship, that means you're in the bunk for 12 hours and you get up and go, and the other guy takes over the bunk.
Did you ever have to go? Did you go seaward at all, Scott?
Yeah, we were out of the coast of California for a couple months doing some stuff, but they call it hot rack, where when you get in, it's hot from the body that just left.
Yep.
What was the ship you were on?
I was on the Peleliu at one time. The Tarawa, I think they're all
they're all mothballed now. Yeah, are gone. Yeah.
They were the amphibious aircraft carriers, or just for helicopters.
Just for helicopters. Oh, that's right.
And then the tanks, or can't remember what they were called now. The tracks go up on the beach with all the guys in them.
Oh, the track vehicles are.
The amphibious.
Right. Amphibious landing crafts. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Track. Yeah. Well, so here we go. We got so Clint is on the radio, and he's McCullum is now going to Toby's house to check on her, and this is the part I don't understand. I mean, obviously our police sergeant's got to die for the dramatic scene at the end to happen, right?
Right.
But he takes one stab wound and he dies, and I'm like, that ain't how it happens. So,
She got him in the heart, okay?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, she got him in the heart.
Well, you know what it reminded me of, though?
Yeah.
Do you remember what's that scary movie with Janet Leigh?
Oh yeah, the Psycho.
Yeah, Psycho. Where
Yeah.
Martin Balsam's going up the stairs. Next thing is boom, he's dead.
Yeah. It's a lot of people don't even know they've been stabbed when they're in a thing. They think they've been punched and they still fight, right? So it's it's like, come on, this isn't real life. But
he was better off that she left the scissors in his chest.
Yeah.
He bleed out as soon as they pull him out.
Yeah, because it stems the bleeding. Yeah, when you learn you got a stabbing victim, leave the instrument in there and get them to the hospital, because that instrument may be keeping the person alive, believe it or not. Yeah, so I had a problem with that, where he gets stabbed and he dies, because it's like, okay, he's at least going to get a good coal cock in on her, but doesn't even show that. He just falls backwards and dies, and I'm like, all right, this.
That's the thing about a lot of these movies we watch, that you're going to Clint Eastwood's girlfriend's house on the belief to check on her because you believe something bad could be happening. He's got a stalker. The stalker knifed the poor housekeeper almost to death.
Yeah.
And then you just stroll in the front door.
Yeah, with no backup.
No backup, no nothing. I'm just going to walk up to the door. And
it's Hollywood.
No gun out, nothing.
Just his flashlight,
Just his trusty stream light.
He didn't even have that,
He had a D-cell, one of those aluminum ones.
Yeah. So no strike from him, and of course he dies, and now Clint is trying to call Toby, or wait, no, I think she call him? I can't remember what got him excited, but and I was wondering how he's going to do this, because he's stuck at the radio station spinning the discs, right? He's got to be there. He's got a shift, and then he puts on the reel-to-reel.
Yep. That'll last for 8 hours.
A previous show, and so that he can play it, and then he can go there, right?
Well, he matched the thing that the crazy woman sent him in one of those books where it says,
that's right. Yes.
The fair maiden must die, or something like
that.
And that's when it's like, oh shit.
She said something during one of their conversations, and he couldn't remember it. Then he remembered it, and of course he has a book with poetry right there, and Edgar Allan Poe thing, and the fair maiden must die. Yeah, you're right, Scott. That's it. And so he put 2 and 2 together. He decided he wasn't going to trust the police sergeant. Of course, the guy dies with just one strike. I guess so, right? So. And he decides he's going to go and check on his girlfriend. That's right. And he races. Now, okay, this is the movie making stuff that, since I've been doing this now, I kind of pay attention to, right? So he's racing there with a 6-cylinder Jag, right? And you hear him downshifting and upshifting and doing this stuff. And he pulls into the driveway, and they're still doing the upshifting and downshifting. I'm going, just to add the excitement, that's what I see, just to add the excitement, and they're still doing it, and the tension, and build the tension.
Maybe it was a long driveway.
Like, okay.
In the dirt with the high beams on.
And then of course he goes and he ends up in a fight now he's fighting our crazy lady, right? You can go back up, Martine. He's fighting up our crazy lady, and she gets some good stabs on him, right?
Yep.
He doesn't die.
He doesn't die. And the final punch scene,
he never dies.
The final punch scene, though, the scene where when is he going to punch her? That's what I was thinking. When is he going to punch her? When is he going to punch her? And it's the classic Clint Eastwood, square knuckle right in the face. And she goes out the glass window, which probably wouldn't happen, over the rail, and falls off the cliff, right? But when I saw the punch, that was every which way but loose.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Every when he played like a boxer and one other thing where he did that, and then he played one with Burt Reynolds. Remember that one? It was like the 40s. I can't remember the name of the movie, but same thing.
Heat.
Boom.
In the Heat or something.
Yeah, you see that classic Clint Eastwood punch in a lot of these movies. You even see it like in some of Dirty Harry's stuff here, but finally you get it, boom, and he cracks the crazy lady, and she goes off out the window and off the cliff, which I thought was pretty not going to happen. I think the glass would have stopped.
I would thought it was awesome though.
I think the door was
Flat.
Well, you don't have to worry about going to court after that, right?
Exactly. It's over. No more stalking.
It's over with. And now he's got like 4 stab wounds. She ripped him up pretty good too, right?
Yeah,
and,
she did.
He's got to go to the hospital, and of course him and I. Now, if I'm Donna Mills, I'm thinking, this guy. I got to get away from this guy. He's dangerous, right?
A lot of work.
Yeah, his judgment and people that he gets close to. I think her instincts were right when she stayed away from him for 6 months. But I don't know, Scott. Had you seen this movie before?
I saw it back when I was in high school, back in like the mid '70s.
What did you think of the movie?
I was like, wow, there's crazy women out there.
Sheltered in a small town, you never saw
a small town. I came here, in the Marine Corps. Then what's the first thing they do when I get out of I go into custody from the academy is, hey, you got to go work the Gay Pride Parade. And I was like, well, what? My eyes were like this big the whole time. Yeah. And then, I was married, and then Fatal Attraction came out, and I'm like, whoa, I'm married to a German. This could go sideways. They get angry quick. Just ask France.
What'd you think, John? This was a good movie when it came out. It was.
I saw it when it first came out. It was Clint, and Jesse Walters was scary. She did a good job. I was like, oh, but now watching the second time, it's not as scary. But it was, for a '71 movie, it was actually pretty well done. But there's always going to be mistakes and stuff.
A little bit of a la Hitchcock, as you talked about with Psycho. You see a little bit of that. And so this is his first effort at directing. And, I would say, A+ for your first time around, right?
He's done some phenomenal directing in a lot of movies.
It's funny.
His first one, that was good.
When when I was doing the live shows, I would say, okay, that one's in the can, which means in Hollywood means it's done, it's filmed, and we're all done. And so when I stopped doing the live shows and recorded, I just told my producer, no, we're going to do one and done. We're going to do the show and that's it. We're not going to cut. We're not going to do any of that stuff because, and so that's kind of, so I just, no, we're going to do one and done. This is what it is. And it's funny if it's like Leo DiCaprio, he did a movie with Clint as a director, and a lot of these actors want to shoot the scene over and over again until they get their best scene. And he's like, no, you're an actor, act. We get the scene done. We move on. A lot of
the guys think when you work for him, he says, okay, do it.
One and done,
okay. They do it and he goes, yeah, that'll do. And he walks away. He's right. A lot of professional, but you get these guys that are method actors and they be the guy all through for 3 weeks with all their relatives and everybody being that same character. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But then you get guys that just go out there and act.
Yeah.
And some of them are just phenomenal.
Well, one of the reasons why he's been so successful in Hollywood, and obviously he hasn't done anything in a little bit because he's getting up there in age. I think he's like 97 or something like that, right?
Yeah, he's up there.
And
94, I think.
Is because he's the one and done. Hey, one shoot, we're done. Is his movies come in under budget, and think about it. You're a conservative in Hollywood, and he doesn't hide the fact he's a conservative. And
with his track record.
Yeah. So, if you're making the green, we'll ignore your politics, right? And And so, I guess he became a very efficient movie maker and a very successful movie maker. He knew what he needed to tell his story. And so on his first movie, pretty good job. I don't know, Martin, you didn't watch the whole thing yet, but this was pretty good for what you did see. Pretty good for a first movie, right?
Well, he's 95, by the way.
95? Okay.
I can have an opinion of something I haven't seen yet.
Okay, all right.
But I have seen many of his movies. I cannot speak English today. I have seen many movies directed by him, and he never disappoints. So I have no fear that I will be disappointed in this one.
I totally agree.
Yeah, now you got to watch it now, Martine, now that we got your interest peaked, right? And I'm glad that I found another movie that Martine has not seen, and we'll enjoy that. It's because we're just a little bit older than you, Martine. We get a little more history on the movie stuff.
Yeah, but just a little.
Just a little, right? Just a little. I didn't shave today. You can see that it's getting a little gray there.
Oh my
God, it looks terrible.
Shut up about gray, dude.
Oh man, no, you still got a little dark. Mine comes in actually
color
white.
It today.
Mine comes in white, and so I look like a bald Santa Claus. So I got it, so I shave it because then I look, somewhat younger. I never really was much into facial hair anyways, but yeah, I like this movie. The most important part of this is, that we talk about Pop Culture Minefield, how real life influences the movies, and it's true. The stalking stuff has been around forever, right? As we talked.
Oh yeah.
About. And we didn't really take it serious. And after Rebecca Schaeffer, they did take it serious, and they passed laws, and I think any cop worth his salt now, if they hear a pattern of stalking, they're going to raise the stalking statute if it hasn't been repealed in California. I have to remind everybody we repealed everything in California, so now everything's a ticket or a civil violation. I did a show I did a segment where I talked about where they repealed loitering with intent to commit prostitution and how that would explode. And sure enough, prostitution has exploded in the streets of LA. And now they're doing operations to suppress it. All this old Epstein stuff they keep talking about. You guys repealed laws that guaranteed that women and teens will be trafficked. Boys and girls will be trafficked because of your stupid policies, and then you keep bringing up this whole Epstein stuff. And I want all those people to be prosecuted in that case that did something wrong.
I think they deserve dirt naps.
But don't wring your hands over that and then weaken the laws that allowed us to protect people from getting sexually trafficked. It's just crazy what's going on. And the mainstream media doesn't point out the hypocrisy of their position at all.
They're part of it.
Yeah, and yes, exactly right. If they did, so as I'm talking, I'm thinking maybe I'll have to do another movie on. Love hearing you guys. Great movie, great talk. My uncle was LASD back in the 50s and 60s. Holy smokes!
Damn,
that's
the
50s
and 60s. Yeah, I had some. I had a guy, Long Beach cop, on John's friend, Buzz
Williams.
Buzz and
Sergeant from Long Beach, great guy.
His grandfather and then his dad were part of the gangster
squad.
The Hat Squad for LAPD, and so that would have been the 40s and 50s and probably a little bit into the 60s, right?
Yep.
And they would encourage
people not to stay here.
Encourage, because some of the movies, like we did LA Confidential, The Black Dahlia, and I forget another movie that we did.
Mulholland Falls.
That's a great movie.
That's a good movie. Where the Hat Squad, so they were active, and I know the sheriff's department had similar teams, and they would encourage the thugs and the gangsters from Chicago and New York, whoever were trying to make
go back where you came from,
inroads into LA, to leave. And I, when I got Buzz on, he'd say, yeah, that stuff did happen. He confirmed it. Absolutely, this stuff happened. And he had names, he had evidence, and it was interesting. He gave all of his documents from his dad and his grandfather to the
Mob Museum.
The Mob Museum in Las Vegas. So, yeah, so I'm sure your uncle has a lot of great stories to tell from his time on the LASD back in the 50s and 60s. Yeah, it just we just buried my son's wife's grandfather, and he was one of the original search and rescue guys in the 50s for LASD. So, and I did the research, and he was a ranger, and he was trained, and he parachuted into Korea the day that pretty much around the day the war ended. He says, yeah, I landed in Korea after parachuting there, and we didn't fight anybody. I was there for 4 hours and backed up and left, right? So I did 6 months of training and then he did some skiing and all that other stuff, and he came back to LA, and he worked for Jet Propulsion Laboratory. He was an engineer, and he joined the Altadena Search and Rescue Team in the 50s. And then they were all kind of just made deputies, and his family told me, yeah, he refused to wear a gun because he just wanted to rescue people, and and then he was forced to have to become a deputy. He became a deputy. So it was an interesting story. But then of course he was telling me what he did at JPL. He goes, yeah, these people, they wanted to take all the buoys in the ocean and have them talk to the satellites, and so we can check out this. So he helped build this whole system of navigation system and tracking ocean patterns with NASA and what was it, Oceanic? I forget the name of that.
NOAA.
Yeah, and he's a very interesting guy. And I'll tell this story because we got a little bit of time. So his house was burned down in Eden Canyon, right? And I think he was 94, 95. And he still had a hobby with radios. He says, yeah, I couldn't listen to the sheriff's radios because they were encrypted. So I was listening to the fire radios, and I recognized that the fire was getting pretty close to my house. So I went and looked, because I went to the Reagan Museum with him a few months later, and he was telling me the story. He says, I saw that the fires were cresting the hill, and they were coming pretty fast. And he said, my neighbor was not ambulatory. He needed help to get out. And so I decided, well, doesn't look good. I think we need to evacuate. So he didn't get an evacuation order. He just said, we're going to evacuate. So this guy's in his mid-90s, and he goes and gets his neighbor and gets him in a wheelchair, loads him in the car, and drives him down to an assisted living place where they could take care of him, and then calls his son, and then his house burns down to the ground. Gone. So, here he is, mid-90s. His last big act, before his house burned down, was to save his neighbor. He lost his house, lost everything. And he was out Christmas shopping recently, and died of just a stroke. Just went just like that. He was driving right up to 97. Yeah. So he was alert, told me all those stories. Very interesting guy. And but that's the breed back then, right? That's how they made men back then. So, yeah. But hey, thanks for joining me, guys, today on Morning Coffee with the Chief. I'll have to look for a Robert Duvall movie to do next. So we can honor Robert Duvall, another good guy. I don't know if he was in the military or not, but I do like.
No, but he's a great conservative.
Yes, he was.
He was in the military. All right. So first role, Robert Duvall. Does anybody want to answer that question? First movie role that Robert Duvall in, significant movie role.
I can see
Joe Kidd.
No. To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. To Kill a Mockingbird. That's right.
Yeah.
He was the mute.
Yeah,
the
I
kid
saw
who
that.
didn't talk.
The Blue, I think they called him Blue or something like that. To Kill a Mockingbird. All right, we are finished with Morning Coffee with the Chief. Thank you for joining us again. If you guys want to stick around for a quick debrief, we could talk and to the audience. Thank you.
I got an appointment.
Hopefully, okay. We'll see you later there, John. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, great seeing you guys again. God bless.
Same, John.
Bye, John. Take care.
All right, guys. Take care.
So, we ready to go?
We're ready to go.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
gaming.